Time is now 6 o'clock, and at this time, we're going to call this meeting to order, this being the March meeting of the Dawson County Planning Commission. I'd like to begin with invocation from Neil Hornsey, if you would, please, Neil.
Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful county we live in, and I pray that you can just guide us to make the right decisions on these cases we hear tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, we will have our roll call. Yes. Yes.
Planning Commissioner Davey.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Jamie Hornsby.
Present.
And Hank.
Shelt Townley is not here. So let the record show that we have 4 present, which is a quorum, actually over a quorum. And at this time, we'll begin with announcements. If you are here tonight to speak either in favor or in opposition of any application, if you made contributions of more than $250 to any local official campaign, there is a form that needs to be filled out, and it will be up here at the desk with Ms. Priscilla. Gentlemen, I assume you've had opportunity to look at the minutes from November the 19th, 2024, which is the last time we've met. If you've looked at them, is there any amendments that need to be made? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. Moving a second, all in favor? Motion is carried 4-0. The agenda presented tonight by staff, I assume you've also had an opportunity to look over it. Is there any amendments that need to be made to the agenda? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Moving a second, all in favor? Motion is carried 4-0. Under new business, we'll begin with application for variance, presentation of ZA 25-01. Darrell On's request to reduce his left side property line building setback from 5 feet to 1 foot for construction of a staircase and landing. Is someone here to speak for Mr. Darrell On? Seeing no one to speak at the moment for Mr. Darrell On. Gentlemen, do you want to go through this one or table it to the end of the meeting tonight?
Make a motion to table it.
Move it a second to table the first variance. All in favor? Neil? Mr. On? Okay.
I'm not sure based on.
When you make an application for a variance or a rezone, you are supposed to present it before this board. We try our best to give opportunity for everyone to speak. Perhaps he got hung up in traffic. I really do not know. He's the first one, or 2501 is the first on our agenda tonight. We can either go ahead and make a motion on it without any information whatsoever, or we can postpone it to the end of our meeting tonight, which is what we've chosen to do. Thus far, there's a motion and a second on the floor. There was a vote 3. Neil, did you have?
Sure.
Motion is carried 4-0. So Mr. On's presentation of ZA 2501 will be at the end of the meeting tonight. Second presentation, ZA 25-02, Gary and Christina Willis's request to reduce double front building setback lines from 40 foot to 20 foot on both frontages, 40-foot plat requirement, 35-foot VCR requirement for the construction of a new SFD residence. Is someone here to speak for either Gary or Christina Willis? If you would, please come forward. You'll find a piece of paper there on the podium. If you would, write your name and address on the piece of paper on the podium. And for the record, please state your name.
Gary Willis.
And if you would give us a brief presentation as to why you need a variance.
The situation is I plan to build a equipment barn at my house. I currently have 11 pieces of equipment, farm equipment in the woods, as well as under an old tin shed that I need to take down. And because of the topography of my land being very hilly, and I plan on storing my 40-foot motorhome inside there, there's only certain places on my property that I can do it. The place is the top of my lot where it's flat, okay? And there's been a motorhome site there for 27 years since we built the property there. I'm basically want to cover that up. The situation is, I have a circular driveway of my house, approximately 200 feet round, coming up the hill. And I got diagrams of this I can show you if you have any questions. But there's a 25-foot gain from my house to the barn site with this concrete. If I move the barn any closer than 10 feet from the property line, I'm going to be encroaching on my driveway, which I do have 10 feet that I can give up there, but I would lose any ability to have any type of foundation shrubs or a little strip of grass or anything because my driveway runs right into the barn before it gets to my house. So the main situation is I am zoned agriculture. My neighbor on the other side of the line who lives on 15 acres, she is zoned residential. It is a 10-foot setback on her side. It is 25 on mine. I'm asking for the same, a 10-foot setback. Her driveway is 150 feet away from this side. There's a wooden buffer. Her house is 400 feet away. So I'm really asking for the same setback on both sides of the line.
How many acres do you have on your piece of property?
Excuse me?
How many acres?
I live on 3.1 acres.
In the application, it's the acreage for this particular request is 0.367 acres.
Say it again, please.
The acreage is 0.367 for the variance request. Can you speak to that discrepancy?
No, I can't. I cannot. I can take a look at it. Was it,
On the variance staff report, the initial
yeah.
report that we get, it says acreage 0.367 acres. So I was just kind of
Yeah,
curious.
it's 3.1 exactly.
3.1 is
Yes.
what you actually have. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense. Any questions to the applicant?
It looks to be that you're gonna tear down the old shed and put the new shed basically over where the old one
I'm
was.
actually moving it about 40 feet so I can have more parking in front of it. But essentially that is it.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition to the application? If you would, please come forward. Write your name and address on the piece of paper on the podium. Certainly, thank you.
Okay,
For the record, please state your name.
my name is Karen Yost, and I would be the affected neighbor to this variance. Why we're here is that Gary has a self-created hardship. And at this point, whether carelessly or intentionally, he's already violated the setback rules. He has graded back to 10 feet within the property line, while his setback is 25 feet. So the only way to hold what he's graded back to is to put a retaining wall. That's a structure. And it's not okay. He doesn't have a building permit yet. If page 2 just kind of emphasizes what does constitute a hardship for a variance and what doesn't. And what he's talking about does not constitute a hardship. This is, the next page shows a diagram of what he wants to put up. So it's not just a barn, but there's a storefront next to the barn. And if you look the side of my property, there's a retaining wall. And that's where I'm saying it would have to be at 10 feet. He also wants to cover up his equipment on this side where you see the tractor. So that's right up against my property. And I'm sorry that his agricultural setback is 25 feet, but he could change it to a residential like I have if he wants the 10 feet. So that's really not my problem. The next page shows his proposed barn site. And again, if he wants to cover up his equipment, he doesn't have to have this storefront here. He can just move it all over. So it's not my fault he wants a storefront. That's his fault. The next page, where it starts with the red tab, is the grading permits for Dawson County, where it states that with the exception of agricultural activities such as plowing or harrowing, you must have a permit. But he didn't have a permit. And that's a big red flag for me, wanting him to do whatever he wants with the variance. The other thing is, because the next page shows a picture where he did go back already to 10 feet within my property line. I don't know what he's going to do with that. Because there should be he'd have to put a retaining wall there. I would like for him to restore it to a natural grade, and we all stick with his 25-foot setback. The next two pages are texts that took place between Gary and I. And after looking at all this and realizing how he is not in compliance for whatever reason, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Because he doesn't have a building permit, we don't know how big it's going to be, how he's going to change his mind. He doesn't have a sewer permit. I don't know how that's going to affect my property, but zoning laws are zoning laws for a reason. If we want to go to the yellow tab now, that's the beginning of his variance application. He's got building permit number non-applicable. That means if he gets a building permit, how big is it going to be? How imposing is it going to be? And how's that going to affect me and my property values? The next page, page number 2, let's look at how these are self-created hardships. He says, the site of the topography on number 1 and the existing concrete driveway require the building be placed in that position. His driveway is not my problem. The building he wants doesn't have to be that big. Number 2, describe the exceptional and extraordinary conditions. Well, he's not happy with the zoning. The zoning of agriculture is less tolerant than a residential zoning. It's a self-created problem. He can change up till April if he wants my zoning, is my understanding. I'm not an attorney, by the way. Number 3, the only impacted neighbor is approximately 400 feet away from the site and has 15 acres themselves. I don't know what my acreage has to do with variances and zoning laws. But I'm allowed 3 houses on that property. And if my actual home is 400 feet away, my property is 10 feet away from what's been graded to. Number 4, describe the granting, how it would support general objectives within the regulation. the location of the barn, and he says, as I desire, he desires it, has no impact on anyone. Well, it's gonna be a big monster right there on my property line. It could impact utilities, sewer, legalities, any future craziness he may want to do that he seems to do first and then want permission later. When we bring up, starting on the blue tab, this is just, from inside y'all's department, basically saying he doesn't have a building permit, he doesn't have a sewer permit. He's already violated, well, I'm adding, he's already violated laws. He's got options for changing this. He cannot make it as big as what he still hasn't gotten a building thing for. He could reduce the size of the building. He can place it somewhere else. He says he has 3 acres and that is zoned agricultural, but he has 22 other acres that he's got in conservation. That's not my problem. He wants to go build on those, he can. He's saying this is the perfect place for him to build this because of putting his trailer. But after he's graded it, it is a real nice place, but I'd just soon he do his grading somewhere else on his 22 acres. Well, 25 acres altogether. So I don't know why he's jealous of my 15 acres if he's got 25. But he seems to be though. So at this point, I think that's the majority of my case. I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you, Ms. Yost. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition to the application? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper on the podium.
Hey there, I am Joseph Fuhrer. I'm Karen's son. Uh, Uh, yeah, I think she essentially made the majority of points. I mean, I do think it is interesting in his application how he mentioned that we have, 15 acres, as if the topography of our land isn't just as difficult as his, and how he also conveniently didn't mention his other 22 acres. I mean, he's more than welcome to take those out of conservation and build on any of those if he wants. The unique reason that I assume my parents bought this property to begin with, and the reason a person would buy a property like this, is the sense of privacy that it offers. And where he wants to build, when you drive onto the property, it will be the first thing you see will be this building that he makes. So the idea that it will have no negative impact to our property value is, or to any sort of resale value, is doesn't really hold much water. I think that's just about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speak in opposition? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper on the podium. For the record, please state your name.
My name is Jan Warren. I'm a Realtor, and Karen has been a client of mine in the past. And I just wanted to add that he said that it wouldn't devalue the property and her property. And I agree with her son and her that it will. Again, people move from the city to Dawsonville in cabins to have the privacy and the trees. And having a structure like that close to the property line and reducing it to 25 feet to 10 feet is going to be a problem, especially if she adds another home site on there. And I can tell I've had investors go by there that are very interested. She's not willing to sell at this point, but I talked to him. He said he would hate to see that too. That's going to be a future problem. And so especially what he would like to do with the property. And so it will in the future cause a problem on resale.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say. That it was being reduced to 10 feet. Karen, do you mind if she comes up? I'm not too sure what was on the
I
application.
believe we've heard plenty of
Okay.
as far as
It's okay.
opposition, if you would. No.
No,
No.
he's wanting 10 feet into
Yes,
10
he's wanting
feet,
10 feet.
and that's too close.
Mhm.
So anyway, at least I disagree with about not affecting value. It will affect value.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else speaking opposition? Seeing no one else speaking opposition, this time we'll close the board for discussion. Gentlemen, any discussion on this variance?
Since the statement was made that I was in violation of planning commission rules, and I am not, and I would at least like to say what the rule is, as I understand from the planning commission, because,
Okay. If you're going to have a rebuttal, I'm going to need you to come up to the microphone. And this statement is from Gary Willis. So
yes, the situation was that I was in violation because I've already graded the lot, okay? What I did, yes, I did level the existing open site where I've been parking my motorhome for 20-something years. We've had a camper or something there. Based on the size that I did, it is a very small footprint. It is not over an acre. And what I understand is I do not need a land disturbance permit if it's less than an acre and I'm doing the work myself. So therefore, I did need it. I already have sewer at the property. I've already had the health department there. They have already updated their records. They have already approved sewer there. There is already power there. There is already water there because those utilities have been there all of this time, okay? But the main thing is I am not in violation of any planning zoning rules that I'm aware of.
thank you, Mr. Willis.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're closed to the board for discussion. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Can the staff confirm that he's not in any violations?
Confirmed.
Because, yeah, I know that the setback only applies to buildings, not grading. Correct.
That is correct.
Does it look like there's option for possible alternate design or possible relocation of the barn further in toward his property? I mean, fairly large tract. Is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sees that, I just wondered,
I don't know.
feel like there's option for redesign or to try to stay off the buffer. I mean, we're dealing with basically, two property owners and they're not in agreement. I was hoping that usually something like this, usually they've already talked to the neighbor and they got things worked out already before they come before us, and this is not happening.
Richard? Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll motion to deny.
Motion to deny. Is there a second? Seeing no second, the motion dies for lack of second. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the variance?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moving a second to approve the variance. All in favor of approving the variance, raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried 2-1. You'll notice I did not vote. I do not lock, as the chairman, I will not lock us up for any vote. But anyway, that being said, motion is carried 2-1. Mr. Willis, you have your variance. There is opportunity to appeal by way of Board of Commissioners. Presentation of ZA 25-03, Scott McLean's request to reduce his double front building setbacks from 20 to 40 on both frontages. 40-foot plat requirements, 35-foot VCR requirement for the construction of a new SFD residence. Is someone here to speak for Scott McLean? You would please come forward, write your name and address on a piece of paper there on the podium. Record,
Tyler.
for the record, please state your name.
I am Tyler Milstead. I am a Scott McLean's Realtor and representative for CTA Residential. The purpose of this variance is just to adjust the front setbacks. This is a corner lot, so you got two front setbacks on here. This lot is in a slightly older development. It was never built on before because of as a steep cliff as you go back further into the lot. And if we abide by the current setbacks, it throws us off of that cliff and pretty much makes the building unfeasible. Granting us this will allow us to set the home there. We have proposed a 2-story plan that we have. I think it's around 37 by 34. And it should abide by all the requirements of that zoning from the plan that we have. So we just ask for the variance to be approved. We're going to make it a beautiful home, landscape it well, and it should fit very nicely with the characteristics and aesthetics of the neighborhood. So that's all I got.
So without a variance, the home cannot be built.
That's
Is that
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, to the applicant?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, is anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? You would? Are you in opposition, sir? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium.
I haven't seen the home building plans that were approved. My only opposition could be the driveway where it's gonna enter from the road at. And I'm probably one of the only houses that could be impacted by that.
For the record, please state your name.
Danny Gilbert.
Thank you. At this time before us, we do not have a building plan, a picture of a house, or a place for a driveway. We have a possibility of a variance to be passed that would allow the building or construction of a home.
Okay, my neighbor's already seen supposedly a submitted approved plan.
We have a plan, not a picture of a house, though. And the plan should be up there.
Is it showing the driveway?
Mhm.
I can't make heads or tails of it.
It shows it coming out on Kensington Court.
Yes.
That's the only problem I have. I don't want a driveway right across from my driveway. Who builds homes like that? That's the only problem I have. If we can change that, I don't have any issue with the variance. Other than it doesn't match any of the other homes in there. It is an older subdivision, but it only got finished building out in the last 3 years, so it's mixed with older and newer homes. We've called the county, I don't know how many times, is to try to get information, before we got here. They can't even put a sign up about this meeting well enough to much less answer a phone. But we've got zero information from the start. No one answers the phone. You can't get a phone call back. If you do get in touch with someone, they absolutely know anything. That's my only concern. I don't like that driveway. It's gonna be directly across from mine. And if we approve this setback, that's gonna set a precedence from now on. You approve one, you're gonna have to approve all of them. That's the same thing that happened with the billboard fiasco on 400. You know, you approved one, so now we have 10.
Actually, that was a lawsuit, but nonetheless.
Right, it was a lawsuit because you wanted to deny the billboards. You already approved one. Once you do one, you got to do all of them.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Anyone else speak in opposition? Seeing none, at this time we'll close the board for discussion. Gentlemen, any discussion? Is there a motion?
Second.
Moving a second to approve. All in favor? Motion is carried 3-0. Mr. McLean, you have your variance. Application for rezone, presentation of ZA 2502, Christopher Light, OBO GVR Group, Dawsonville, Georgia, 400 LLC. Request rezone 4.24 acres from RA to CHB to develop 30,000 square foot retail center and 2 restaurants. If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Christopher Light. I'm here on behalf of GVR Group. I'm with Lipscomb Johnson Law Firm out of Cumming. And what we got here is a 4.24 acre property at the intersection of Georgia 400 and Lee Castleberry Road, backs up to Stacy Lane. Does have frontage on 400. What we're proposing is CHB, general commercial, office, retail, potential restaurant with a drive-through. There is also a possibility of having a sort of an event center for birthday parties or meeting space that people could go there. It is in the Georgia 400 mixed-use character area and seems to fit with the development trend along 400. My applicants are here with me tonight, so if you have any questions, we're glad to answer them. Thank you.
Any questions to the applicant?
Do you have any,
Mr. Light, would you please come back?
do you have any potential tenants at this point or?
Working with some of them, but not finalized.
I've done some work with this group in the past and they are in the commercial real estate space. So they do know they have a plethora of contacts and folks, nothing, no LLIs or anything like that signed as of yet, but there are some contacts made.
Any other questions to the applicant? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, at this time we'll close it to board for discussion. Gentlemen, any discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve, or recommend approval of the rezoning.
Move in a second to recommend approval. All in favor? Motion is carried 3-0. We have recommended approval to the Board of Commissioners. You'll need to appear before them. Presentation of ZA 24-13, Christopher Light, OBO Pierce Property Rentals, Georgia, LLC. Request rezone 2.24 acres from RSR to COI to construct a 9,000 square foot professional medical office building with 4 suites.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Christopher Light again. I'm here on behalf of Mallory and Wesley Pierce and Pierce Creative LLC. Chairman, would you like me to sign in again?
No,
Notate?
you're
That's
good.
good. Okay, thank you. Mr. and Ms. Pierce are local to the area. They've got 2.24 acres. They're on Highway 53, backs up to Acorn Drive. They're looking to have their family operated business. What they have is Miss Pierce, Miss Mallory Pierce is an attorney. She's a single practitioner. She does estate planning and contract review. Her husband is a general contractor who is in the remodel space, particularly for universities. And they need an office complex for those 2 things, and they want their own space. Both are renting now. They also own and operate Pierce Creative, In the city of Dawsonville currently, they're renting, it's an art studio where people can rent space to take classes or paint canvases and do pottery. The proposal for a little over 9,000 square feet office space would have four units, so they would potentially have another tenant or two. They're not proposing any outside storage or commercial construction vehicles being stored there. It will be truly an office space for their businesses and then potentially another like-minded and suitable tenant. So with that, I'll reserve the remainder of the time. Thank you.
Planning staff has recommended exterior building materials visible from the right of way shall consist of a minimum of 70% for vertical wall plank of brick. Have you seen the recommendations from planning?
Yes, sir. We did see them. We also spoke with Ms. Coley about some of that. And the Pierces actually rode around town, took some pictures of some things that they're interested in being similar to. And they all would match that description. The husband, Mr. Wesley, being in the construction business, didn't seem to have any issues with the planning staff recommendation.
In addition, Etowah Water and Sewer Authority said that sewerage is not available. Can you speak to that?
Yes, that is planned on site. We were of that understanding for on-site septic.
So you
with
are planning
office
to handle
space.
your own sewage on site then?
Yes, sir. And with office space, the flows would be fairly minimal.
I didn't see a report from our environmental department, so I was just checking.
We did speak with them.
So has there been a soil analysis done on this property?
Yeah, there's a letter from the health department.
Okay.
There is.
There's a health department letter and there's also an analysis on the screen.
Ah, very good. I see it. Thank you.
Yes. We did have the letter as part of our application, Chairman. I can supplement too with this if you would like.
We're good. Thank you. Any questions to the applicant? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here speaking in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there anyone here speaking in opposition to the application? If you would, please come forward. Write your name and address on a piece of paper there on the podium. For the record, please state your name.
My name is Michael Turner. I own 4 pieces of property that adjoin this property and surround it. First off, I received no notice of this zoning. I've had no contact whatsoever regarding this. Haven't received any mailing. I did speak with Mr. Light before the meeting. He did agree to meet with me next week. I have many, many questions, some of which, Mr. Hamby, you touched on, but number one, sewer. We have wells on the adjoining property that are close by that could be affected by septic tanks. Number two, stormwater discharge and how that will be handled and how it will affect our property. Number three, buffers on the property and how that will affect our property around it. What are the plans for those buffers? Number four is entrance and access to that property. The road frontage on Highway 53 is very narrow, and my understanding from the DOT, if there's going to be access there, there's going to have to be widening and decel lanes, which would also affect our access as well on our property. So it's a very sensitive area in terms of those things. There's many other questions I may have, and I would welcome the opportunity to speak with Mr. Light, their attorney, and the Pierces, and see if we can come to some kind of mutual agreement. So my opposition is only because I don't know what I don't know.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking in opposition to the application? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper on the podium.
My name's Bill Ledbetter. I live across the street from this property that's supposed to be going in for the medical facility. Their driveway is going to be directly across the street from my driveway. I've got 50 foot on 53 right next to the school property. And then Mr. Turner's property is on the other side of me. So this is definitely going to affect me. Now, when they widened the road years ago for the school, we lost 20, 30 feet off the property. What's going to happen now? Are we going to lose any more footage? So that's my what are we going to do? I mean, we can't get out of the driveway now. So if you put in a medical facility across the street from me, I don't know what's going to happen. But I would really not like to see it not go in. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else speaking in opposition to the application? If you would, please come forward. Write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium. Please state your name
Ashley Jett.
and your opposition.
I live on Acorn Road. I live on Acorn Road and it's so hard to get in and out already. I'm trying to raise a family on that road. That piece of property right there is all that I have. I really don't want to see anything else done to it. And that's really all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else speaking opposition? Seeing none. Mr. Light, if you're looking for rebuttal, please come back forward to the microphone.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll try to take them one at a time. Mr. Turner, having known Mr. Turner for many years, I apologize. I should have reached out to him before and had a meeting before and made sure he was well informed, and that is on me. But I will do that going forward to the commissioners if we get a recommendation tonight. And to make sure we have our engineer with us and we do enough due diligence to make sure Mr. Turner understands what.
Mr. Light, would you prefer a motion tonight, or would you prefer some time, perhaps a table in which you can discuss with Mr. Turner before we make a vote later on?
Chairman, I got, the cheeky answer is that depends on the motion.
Naturally. But this would be before a motion was ever made. So I'm asking you.
Sure.
If you're looking to speak with the other property owners or not.
What I say is I do want to earn this board's vote of confidence and recommendation. So if this board feels like they cannot give that tonight until we solve some of these issues, I would prefer some time to work through it. If this board feels like, in my next two answers, feels like we can get these things resolved, obviously we would also like to go forward as well. The Pierces have purchased this property and are looking forward to having a nice development there.
Okay.
So for the next speaker, Mr. Ledbetter, I believe he was concerned, I believe he misunderstood the application thinking it was a medical facility, which it is not. It will be a small family-owned office complex with very minimal traffic. I'd be glad to speak with him after the meeting and make sure he understands that. We'll also look at the driveway, and although we do have narrow frontage, we'll make sure, we'll see if there's anything that we could possibly do to help in that regard. 53 is well-traveled, and that is difficult, but it is a state route, Highway 53, which I believe is very conducive to commercial development. And finally, to Ms. Jett, our initial plan did have an access on Acorn Drive. After working with planning staff and the other departments, it was recommended and we agreed that we just remove that access to Acorn Drive. Acorn Drive will not be accessed. It will be part of our setback and everything else on that corner. So with that, I will take any questions, particularly about the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Light. This time we'll close the board for discussion. Gentlemen, any discussion?
It seems it would be good for them to work with each other and possibly table to try to get something worked out. It would be also good to look at interparcel connectivity to see if the two property owners can work out something for a joint access, because each of these properties are going to end up developing, and they may end up having 3 driveways in a close proximity to each other, which is going to cause more problems on 53. So when you have these parcels like this, it's good to try to develop and come up with one point of access that they all agree upon. But the only way that can work out is if they communicate and talk and try to work out a deal, because you are looking at a GDOT right of way is going to require left turn lanes, and it's going to require deceleration lanes. And I would recommend to see if they can work some things out and bring it back to us.
Make a motion to table,
Second.
Until,
next meeting.
motion to table until next meeting. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Mr. Light, the application is tabled until next meeting. Presentation of ZA 24-10, Larry Long, OBO Coulter Homes. Request to rezone 510.139 acres from RA and RSR to RT to develop a 785 lot, 55 plus community of detached single family lots. Is someone here to speak for Larry Long or Coulter Homes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Larry Long. I represent Coulter Homes, Vice President. Can y'all hear me okay? Appreciate y'all's.
Please write your name on the piece of paper.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. First of all, I want to tell you how much I appreciate y'all allowing me to talk tonight, and appreciate the staff and the county work with me and all the conditions we went back and forth on. Also want to thank the folks that are here tonight, whether against me or for me. Had a lot of good discussions, had some public meetings, had some individual meetings, met with property owners, some against vehemently, some okay, some like it, but I just appreciate at least their time to talking to me. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about what Coulter Homes does real briefly and what we're about. And just to give you some reference, we have a project called Crestwind Lanier that is not too far from here on Highway 369, right before you get to McEver Road in Gainesville. If you ever seen it, it's the big waterfall entrance on the left. That's one of our communities. We sold out of there about 3 years ago. All right, can y'all see this on your screens, I'm assuming? So what we are proposing to do is a development for active adult 55 and older, restricted by federal law. Here we go. A little bit about us. We're developing all over the Southeast. We develop these communities in Florida, Carolinas, Georgia, soon to be Tennessee and Alabama. The reason we are doing this, the active adult population has a significant amount of disposable income and is one of the biggest generations for wealth in the United States history. What we do at Coulter, we believe in lifestyle. This is not we sell houses. We'll get into a little bit about our communities and what we do as far as amenities. We do cooking classes, yoga. We're big into fitness and nutrition. We'll have about 12 pickleball courts, tennis, walking trails, a lot of clubs and organizations own this property. Is what we typically do in our Crestwind community. And by the way, Crestwind is our brand name for our active adult community. So if you see Crestwind at Dawson Springs, Crestwind at Lanier, that's who we are. Our profile is basically our active adult population spends a lot of money locally. We estimate through the National Builder Association did a study recently of the impact of a typical active adult based on the population we're projecting at this community will have a $5.3 million impact on local goods and services. Our property tax will be about $4.1 million. Y'all may like this, may not, but we have a lot of volunteers that get into a lot of local things like the school. They'll volunteer there, and garden clubs and all kind of activities in the community. We have big community engagement. This is about getting people in that age cohort together to do things together. And I would say probably about 70% of the people, 55 and older, my age, wouldn't want to live in a community like this. That's not what we gear our development to and our amenities. We gear it to about 30% of the population that wants to live in this kind of community. This goes into about the awards we received over the years from our architecture and our development. This is an example of what a indoor of one of our community buildings looks like, very similar to what we would do at Dawson Springs. We'll have a pool, of course. This is our fitness center. We have specialized equipment that measure body mass, which a lot of people don't want to do probably, but that's what we do to measure that so we can start people on a fitness program. We also have free weights, and it's a big deal to us. I can't stress enough the fitness. We have yoga classes, Pilates, things of that nature. I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to speed this up. We also have pool, recreation. We have big community halls for events. We have like dances and little mini concerts and things of that nature. We're big in arts and craft. We have a kill. We do pottery. We do it all for the active adult population. This kind of gives you an outline of what we're proposing to do at Dawson Springs if we're approved with all the different group fitness and facilities. Example of our entryway, I believe this is at Twin Lakes, which is in Houston. If you want to see what we do, you can go over to Brownston, go south on 53, and it's right there. By the way, this community is planned to be gated with a guardhouse on both ends of 53 and Frank Bruce Road. All the roads will be private. County won't be maintaining any of those facilities. Another example of Peachtree City. I think I'm too close to the microphone here. This is Spring Haven down in Noonan. This is another deal in Charlotte. So this gives you a flair for what our entryway is going to look like if approved on 53. Maybe you may have to do this manually. Go ahead. Thank you. This is our entrance that we're proposing on 53. The only thing that we've added that won't be represented here, we're doing 2 lanes coming out of the development, one to turn left, one to turn right on 53. Go ahead, Priscilla. This is our proposed amenity. You'll see the amenity building with the pool. You'll see the parking. You'll see the pickleball. These are some renderings of what it would look like, very close to what we're going to do. Another picture of the pickleball. Go ahead. Now we're getting into product. Now we do 4 different series of products. We do 40-foot lots all the way to 70. We are not proposing or asking to do the 40-foot lots on this project just due to the topo and the cost involved with doing the infrastructure. So we're going to do 50s, 60s, and 70-foot lots. This is an example of what we do. We don't do any vinyl siding. Everything's stone, brick, and hardy board, even the soffits. These homes are built to be relatively low maintenance. So when the people leave to go see their grandkids or they go on a trip, they can leave things like they are and come back and everything's the way it is. We do all the landscaping as a community organization. So when they leave, we cut the grass, mulch, what have you, so they don't have to do any landscaping. Go ahead next. So this example of our 51-foot product, go ahead. So thank you. 61 foot, a little bit bigger lot, a little bit more open floor plan. We do high ceilings. This is our brand new product that if we got approved, we'd be doing in Dawson County. We just started doing this about a year ago. The ceilings are really high, so when you come in, it feels really big. Go ahead, Priscilla, I'm sorry. And then this is our example of our 71 foot. Some of our buyers will probably have golf carts. A lot of them like golf carts to drive to the amenity and what have you. And maybe in the future, we're going to build a sidewalk on 53 that maybe we can connect to downtown Dawsonville to have people go up and down that road. Go ahead. And that's basically our product. This is the inside of what it typically some of our product looks like that we're doing currently. Richard asked me to give a breakdown of what we're proposing to do as far as a sequence of how many units per each phase or each series, I should say. On the 51-foot product, we're proposing to do 50% of that in our community at 2,000 average square foot. The 61-foot product is 35% and the 70s 15%. Now, one thing that we do is a little bit different. We don't do sections of 70s to 50-foot lots we mix them all in. So when you're driving down the streetscape, you'll see a 70 next to a 50, next to a 60. And it really does a good deal of improving the streetscape when you're driving down the road. Not all the houses look the same and you're getting mixed and match, and it really looks good. Go ahead, Priscilla. Thank you. This is just some interior shots. We can just go through these very rapidly of what our houses look like inside from different developments. We're big into big kitchens, open spaces. Everything we do is Class A. All right, so here is our master plan we're proposing. 785 lots. We're providing over 200 acres in open space. We're going to exceed the minimum y'all require. I think it's 40% in the, if I'm correct, I think we're going to be around 50%. That 7-acre active adult amenity is really 12.6 with everything, trails and little pocket parks, but it's really 7 acres of hardscape activity. Now, our density we're at right now is 1.74 units. The comprehensive plan calls for 3 units maximum. We're at 1.7, and that's net. So you know how that works. You take out the creeks and the floodplain and the topography of a certain steep slope. You don't get credit for any of those. So typically what we do is a density of 1.8 to 2.2 with gross density. All right. Right now, if you did gross, we're at 1.55, but y'all don't do it that way. We're at net. So we're at 1.7 where the county comp plan is at 3. So we're under that. Go ahead to the next slide. So why did we pick this location? So here's a couple of things I want to let y'all know. We picked Dawson County because the growth in the active adult population cohort, 400 corridor, your population of 55 and older is projected based on your comp plan to be almost 40% 2027. That's where all the active adult people are gravitating to, the 400 corridor, and that's why we're here. Right now, this property is zoned agriculture and suburban rural, which I believe allows 2 units per acre. If you go to the next slide. So what we did is we picked the area that we thought would be best based on your land plan, what you proposed for the community and being in being in Dawson County. I did a little chart that the county provided me the information. So if you look at this land use plan that y'all adopted in 2023, these are the categories and these are the acreages of each one of those land use categories, which, land use drives your zoning decisions when you hear zoning cases. If you combined all the rural agricultural area in the county, you're at 82% now. That's what you have currently planned for in the entire county. Well, these other groups, there's different, percentages, but we focus on Dawson character area, what we're in, is 6% of the total land mass in the county. Now, if you take a close look at that area that's been designated as Dawson character area, you'll see a lot of blue, dark blue. Go back for a minute, Priscilla, I'm sorry. You'll see a lot of dark blue lines. Those are lots. So you're not going to develop any big project in those areas. Those are probably going to stay like they are, probably, unless somebody can assemble a bunch of property. What you really have is you have 3 or 4 areas that are designated Dawson character areas that you can develop under this zoning. So that's why we picked this, because we wanted to be close to Dawsonville town. We felt like this was what you wanted in your comp plan based on the land use designation. And we think we're a perfect fit because we're active adult, and I'll get into that in just a second. But that's why we chose this location. Go ahead, Priscilla. Right now, this is the character area for this property, Dawson character area. And I think one of the intents was to not only focus development in certain areas, you've got the 400 area, and then you've got Dawsonville. And you were trying to, from what I read in the plan and talking to staff, encourage medium-sized density around Dawsonville to help encourage its development, because I know Dawsonville's got some things they're wanting to do with the downtown and all that, so that's why we think this is a fit for that. But here again, we're under the 3 units per dwelling requirement. I won't get into all this, but this basically slide is why we picked the residential town zoning district, which is part of the character area and comprehensive plan. It allows us the density and the flexibility of design and creating more open space. We felt like we were following the character of what y'all were trying to do in this comp plan, if that makes any sense. All right. We don't have to, we can go on from that. The preservation plan, like I said, we're over open space. We're going to be probably 50 instead of 40%. Our plan has changed a little bit from the one you see on the right, but we're going to change the driveway location on Frank Bruce based on some comments from surrounding property owners. But we're going to be over that open space requirement. We're also providing 50-foot buffer on 53, a 50-foot buffer on Frank Bruce Road. We're also increasing the buffers in certain locations. If you see the map on your screen, you see all the areas in the red circles. The county has requested that we increase the buffers in those areas from 30 to 50 feet. We've met with most of the owners, talked to them about that. Also, on that map, you'll see one circle on Frank Bruce Road. We agreed to move the entryway north on Frank Bruce. It gives us better sight line and gets away from some folks' driveway. We had about a 2-hour meeting with some folks out there Friday to go over all this. So, and we appreciate their coming out and meeting with us. Go ahead. As far as environmental mitigation, we did a wetland study, environmental, I'm sure y'all seen a lot of those. We've identified all the jurisdictional wetlands. What we're trying to do is stay off those wetlands as much as possible. And we're going to achieve that. We're going to bridge every one we cross. We're not going to put culverts in the water and damage and have to buy mitigation credits. We're going to do pretty big bridges over these so we don't impact those creeks and the wildlife. We're also going to limit our clearing activity at certain times of the year for the long-eared bat that may be there. We don't think we know for sure, but they said there might be habitat for there. So we're going to go ahead and restrict our clearing and some other activities from, I think, May to July of each year. But I just wanted you guys to see that we're actually trying to do the best we can on mitigating any kind of environmental problems and moving all the houses on the ridges and not impacting some of the wildlife areas. Now, traffic's a big thing that's been brought up a lot. Our traffic study was done by Keckenwood that does a lot of DOT traffic studies. And we went over this with staff, and our impacts are minimal based on our trip generation, which is not really the same as a typical subdivision because we're retired, semi-retired, don't have kids in the development. We don't leave the house at the same time. And this is a tried and true study method that we don't come up with. The Association of Civil Engineers, I forgot the exact AASHTO, I think it is, they come up with these standards. And I will tell you this, I had a county that did not believe me when I told them this is what happens. They went out and did a little thing across the road, a ticker that, and they came back and said, yeah, we can't believe you were responding, but our traffic doesn't leave at the same time. It's very limited. Our trips are minimum versus a typical subdivision. So, and I think this number needs to be a little bit higher, but you see I have 785 homes. So if you did, it's really, I did some more calculations while I was sitting there. It might be around 274. So if you built a 274 subdivision for families with kids, that's what you would equal to our traffic. All right, does that make sense? Just based on our trip generation. All right, now if you did it on the whole day trips, what we create was versus a subdivision of 785 homes with children and typical family, we would be at half for the entire day, not the peak hours, but for the entire day, if that makes sense. Okay, go ahead. So we actually did a traffic study we studied all the intersections you see on your screen to see what our impact would be. We came back, here's what we were required to do with meeting with staff and based on engineering. We're going to do a turning lane going south on 53, coming into our project. We're going to do a decel lane going north or west on 53 to come into our project. And we will also provide $165,000 toward the improvements that are planned for Frank Bruce Road. I think it's in the T-Splosh, about 1.67 million that they're going to use to redo that road. We're going to contribute $165,000. This gives you just the other numbers. Our build out will be about $500 million worth of real estate in this community. We've estimated about $788,000 in fees, $8.6 million to Etowah Water and Sewer Authority for tap fees. They went up between when we started and now. We're going to do $960,000 in water and sewer usage, $4.1 million in taxes per year, and $5.3 million in annual expenditures in the local community market. One last couple of things, impact fees, they recently went up with impact fees and the other things that the county has asked us to do to buy an ambulance for $320,000 to provide $165,000 for Frank Bruce and to provide $100,000 for trail system. We're at $5.1 million that we'll have to pay the county for our impact to the community. Now, how the county, I know you're restricted on impact fees based on statutory Georgia regulations of how you use those, but that $5.1 million is your call how to use it. Next slide. The last couple of things I'll tell you is this is our water and sewer that we're going to have to put in based on Etowah. We're bringing sewer over from Highway 9, all the way from Highway 9 down Perimeter Road, then down 53. We're also improving their water system. We're going to upsize the water line from 53 all the way to Frank Bruce Road, then come up to Highway 9. We're going to loop their system. They're having some fire flow issues that we're going to help improve that. And we agreed to do that as part of this process. All right, so the last page, just want to recap kind of what we're talking about here. We're talking about doing an 735 unit active adult community with 3 different home series ranging from 17 to 3,000 and up. We're at 1.74 units an acre, which is under the 3 in the comprehensive plan. We got the staff report back and we have 26 conditions with a bunch of other variances and other code things we're looking at. But the staff indicated that our plan meets the comprehensive plan that y'all adopted in late 23. We're going to provide 200 acres of open space. At least will probably be more than that, what, 50% or 50% of the whole study area. No significant impacts on transportation based on our traffic patterns. Will be gated, private. You won't have to maintain any of the roads. The county will never take those over. We'll do that. We have a per monthly fee that we charge our homeowners for all the maintenance, groundskeeping, and we actually allocate money for future road improvements, like if we had to repair any road or anything like that. That's part of that budget. And it's typically around $300 a month for each resident. So over $5.1 million in impact fees and other related items that y'all want us to pay for. $4 million annually in property taxes, 5.3 in other goods and services. No school impact. We won't have any kids that will be going to the schools. And this project should take about 8 to 10 years to develop. So it's not like we're going to develop this thing overnight. It's going to take us, if we got an LDP, it would take us 2 years to get to the first house based on all the offsite infrastructure we're going to have to do. And then we're probably looking at year 8 to 10, probably a build out, which eventually we would be back at Frank Bruce finishing up. So that's my presentation. I'm sorry it was lengthy. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I also have Dustin Baker, who's Vice President of Development, and I have Bradley Dunkel, our engineer, here to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
You have stated you have other communities as well like this. 55
Yes, sir.
plus.
Yes, sir.
Heard a lot of comments about 55 plus and a lot of what you're requesting hinges on the 55 plus. Can you tell me how you can guarantee a 55 plus community?
Yeah, by federal law, there's a federal law that we have to be a certain percentage of 55. We can't totally restrict it to 55, right? But we never have people in their 30s or 40s wanting to live. I've never seen that. We do restrictive covenants, and we do those. We can do those in your favor as the county, but we have restrictive covenants on you have to have one person that's 55 and older. We do that everywhere we go. We are age restricted, which means we can actually have you be the age limit you have to be to live there. Now, if you're on the waiting list and some odd reason you're 45 and you just like to hang out with older people, sometimes that might happen, but I've never seen it. That just never happens. And I think it's like 80%, I believe, is the number that we can restrict to active adult. But we don't ever have anybody under that. But remember this, you still can restrict kids. So if you want to live in our community and somehow you get on the waiting list and there's no other 55 and older person and you're 45, you can live there technically, legally, but you can't have kids living with you. So that's why you don't typically see that happen.
Also, you stated the 26 stipulations by staff.
Yes.
Are you in agreement with those?
Yes, we are. We've went back and forth. They've been very good. And, they're holding the line, and we've agreed to work with them on these 26 items and the variance items that we've requested.
Any other questions, to the applicant?
One of the things I noticed is the driveway length. We have a requirement of a minimum of 20 feet, I believe, from face of garage to back of sidewalk, and you're wanting to lessen that?
Yeah, we're going to still have 20 feet separation from the garage, and I think, is that correct? We're still going to have 20 feet separation. It's just the way your right-of-way is allocated toward that setback. But we'll still have 20 feet from back of curb to the garage.
Back of curb or back of sidewalk?
Is it back of sidewalk? I'm sorry, back of sidewalk. I'm sorry. You're right, because we're trying to keep the cars out of the sidewalk, basically. So we've done it everywhere. We don't really have that problem. We also restrict on street parking as part of our process for fire trucks, and we've talked to the fire marshal about how we're going to design the roads to help with that, with some bump outs at fire hydrants and things of that nature.
So the 14 feet that's mentioned is right away to house.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
But remember, I think y'all's objectives are the same as ours. Keep the cars out of the sidewalk. That's what we do. That's what y'all want. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, based on your presentation, the renderings you have, the driveway widths are at least a minimum of 2 car width.
That is correct. Usually, yep. And all these houses will be 2-car garages, maybe 3 in some cases, depending on how we can design it, especially on the 70-foot product. Sometimes we have the side garage. Sometimes we'll have a golf cart garage. Sometimes we'll do that.
A question, if you would have a problem with this build out being up to 8 to 10 years,
yes, sir.
Would you have a problem if the county staff deems necessary to get another traffic study to determine any possible improvements or issues that you may end up running into? I mean, things are changing up here pretty quickly.
That's correct. So that's a good question. So what you have to deal with is, if you said that, and then we had to go back and do another traffic study and another development caused a problem, when we were not, would we be penalized to solve that problem? That'd be something we would probably want to talk to y'all about, but
I'm asking if the stipulation was if the county deemed it necessary to do an additional traffic study.
yes, we would do it. Yep.
Pad grading, pad grading. In other words, your project's in phases.
Yes.
Would you be open to not grading the whole site?
We don't grade the whole site anyway. We just grade the areas where we do the pads in the streets. And here's why we do that. trees are our number one thing that sells houses. And the more trees we have, we love trees. I mean, I know people back behind me probably don't believe this, but a lot of them anyway, but trees are a big thing to us because it brings value to our houses. And we've went so far at Twin Lakes, the development you saw, and Dustin couldn't correct me, but we've actually spaded trees we want to keep and moved them if it was in the lot area that we were doing to put it back. We don't do back-to-back lots. You can see on our lot plan, we don't do back-to-backs. We have a green space between the back-to-backs because our buyer wants to see trees, doesn't want to see somebody else cooking out, whatever. But yeah, we don't do that. It costs too much money. Now we'll have to, for roads, for stormwater stuff that we have to do, and for lots, we'll do it. But everything else, and you look at this plan, we're preserving a lot of trees because we're staying on the ridges as much as we can on this community.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Now, the other issue, your location on 53.
Right.
Okay. Your sight lines are going to be critical, especially 55 and over.
Right. On that little curve, you come around Etowah Water and Sewer Authority. Yeah, Dustin and I talked about that several times. We're going to have to clear that out based on DOT's requirements when we get a permit to improve that site. And it's going to be improved.
Are you open to being able to, you have to shift a little bit here and there on 53 to get the sight line?
Yeah, remember, this is not engineered yet. So when we actually get into DOT and county discussions with where that road's going to go, that will come up. And we'll put that driveway, and it's probably going to solve itself because we'll have to clear that area to do that decel lane on 53. So it's going to probably solve itself. But
Can you speak to the phasing? You know, are you starting on the 53 side?
yes,
And then you're going to do, build every lot as you go back?
that is correct. We'll do 4 phases we're anticipating on this project. We'll start on 53. We'll work our way back. We'll build that bridge. And what we'll have to do, and I've told folks that live on Frank Bruce, we're going to probably put some kind of construction dirt road to get the bridge, the crane in there to set the bridge on Palmer Creek. So we'll start there, but most of our construction will be on the 53 side. So we'll work our way there. And then the next phase will include our clubhouse, which will be right next to the creek. And we'll just keep working our way back.
So how far down the road do you anticipate traffic coming out on Frank Bruce Road?
Well, I might let Dustin talk about that, but it's going to probably be in the 3rd phase, I would imagine. We've got a timeline, unless I'm wrong about that. Just when would we have people can drive on it, not just a gravel road, but
So excuse me, so the development, to access on Frank Bruce Road would probably be 3 years into the development. We have to provide fire access once we get past a certain number of homes that we would build out, primarily for fire access.
So you'd build the complete road, not just like a fire access road
That's correct, yes.
at that point? Okay,
That's
gotcha.
correct. Now, based on the phasing, there would be areas on either side of the road that may or may not get developed. And to Larry's point, right now, we're at four phases is what we're proposing. That could shift to 5 once we get into engineering and try to, balance the engineering and how the site lays out.
And for the record, you're Dustin.
I'm sorry, Dustin
Yeah.
Baker.
Oh, yeah, I had another question. I know this parcel, it connects, not what you're showing, but the parcel connects to Perimeter Road.
yes.
Is there a reason you're not accessing on Perimeter instead of Frank Bruce?
Yeah, first of all, it's not for sale, number one. That's another issue. That is, Mike is working with some other folks on that property. But we did look at crossing that creek, or could we find Allen Road? It's just cost prohibitive. The Palmer Creek is bad enough where it is, but the distance that you would have to build a bridge to get over Palmer in that area, we even looked at doing a golf cart bridge from there to Allen so we could go into Dawsonville. It was like a mile or something to get, not a mile bridge, but a mile to build the road, and then a pretty substantial bridge to get from that last cul-de-sac down to Allen Road. Didn't look at that. We actually wanted to do it. It just wasn't feasible cost-wise to do it.
Did you have any discussions with the school about this property being right on top of the high school? Does the Board of Education have any comments on your project?
No, they like the fact that we don't have any school kids, to be honest with you. They like that. They like the fact that we'll have volunteers and probably contributions from our residents toward their activities. Now, someone did mention, what about football games or things going on? What's that gonna be like with our residents? Our residents will love that stuff. They'll probably go to those games. They gotta remember, these are active adults. These aren't retired people living in assisted living or, independent living care. They're active adults. They want to do activities, hike and bike and all that. So they want to be part of the community. So the school doesn't have a problem with this. We don't have a problem with them.
Now, they're moving into a different stage of their life and they're looking to re-engage with their peers and have an active life.
I did also see the notes that there were going to be some discussions with the city of Dawsonville. Did you have any discussions with city staff?
We had some preliminary discussions. We focused on Dawson County, of course, but we wanted to know what their plans were for downtown. To see what we would be part of later. I mean, it's going to evolve. It's going to be, it's going to take us 2 years to even sell the first house. So it's going to be a while, but I wanted to see what their strategic vision was for restaurants and other things, because our buyers are going to want that. And you got all the chains down there on 400. That's fine. That's great. Fantastic. But our buyers are going to want those independent restaurants and places and brew houses and what have you to visit. And I think our type of community with our disposable income will help form that with the city. But I met with the downtown director, I forgot her name. Amanda. Yeah, I met with Amanda 3 times, I think, about this.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate y'all's time.
Is there anyone here speaking in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there anyone here speaking in opposition to the application? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Hey, go this side.
I apologize.
Good. Good evening. First of all, I want to say that was a beautiful presentation. Larry Long and the Turners met with I'm Susan Munson, sorry. I live on 1512 Funk Boost Road. And we also have another home on Funk Boost Road, 1512 and 1510 Funk Boost Road. But again, that was a beautiful presentation. Larry and the Turners did meet with the neighborhood and had an open house to do this presentation. And I told them then that if I were going to retire and live in a community, this would be the one I would live in, but not here. That I would not to be catch off guard, that I would completely oppose 785 units and home on Funk Boost Road, Seed-Tick, Etowah, 53 and 136. And several reasons for the opposing is first and foremost is that it's residential agriculture. 1999, my husband and I moved from Atlanta. We specifically was looking for land and to focus on living in the agriculture and getting away from subdivision and everything that goes with the subdivision that we were trying to get away from, meaning that we were trying to get away from light pollution is for one foremost. And we wanted to spend our time in the evenings, right? In the night times in reference to the sky and being able to get away for peaceful home and be able to go out and enjoy the nature. This current time, we, short of 4 miles, Funk Boost Seed-Tick has 3 major projects going on if this takes place. To Seed-Tick, there's currently a reservoir going in. And if you look at the short amount of 4 miles there, the reservoir is taking 137 something acres right there. So there alone, that entire wilderness and forest that we came to Atlanta, from Atlanta for, is gone, right? So that was also an opposition that we wanted to come against. Not only that, but in the middle of those 4 miles, we also have the gas line that's going from, I've got it written down, but I'd rather just face you guys. So we have that project as well. So Frank Bruce Road, which is now a, similar to 136 and 53 at any given day, it's constant traffic. And it's almost to the point where you can't even take a walk on Frank Bruce Road. So if we decide to go with the 785 units, then you're going to have 3 major projects in the middle of, right outside Dawsonville. So that alone is going to continue to press through with traffic. The funnel of traffic is going to be horrendous, which it already is such a challenge. The subdivision, or should I say community, being moved in would definitely take effect in the neighborhood and our quality of life. Not only that, but the taken away from personal and my own personal, being a little selfish, I guess, but for the citizens of Dawsonville and Dawson County, I think that it would be injustice not to speak up for the citizens. The uncontrolled growth is that rapid. It's almost like we just need to put a stop on it. I know that there's a potential to do that, to take a break from that, but we need to start thinking about the public services that we are going to be able to try to accommodate this type of growth. I mean, in the EMS, the public services, the police department, the list goes on. And I know they're all doing the best they can. We also need to consider too that when you're thinking about the land use properties, the noise, and I have mentioned the light pollution, the traffic, the environmental impact that it's going to cause, the loss of natural habitat, the ecosystem, and then the runoff of the pollution and fragment of the wildlife. Also, the biggest thing for me, other than being a little bit selfish, is that just makes no sense. In reality, if you go down Frank Bruce Road and see Tick, and it's just 4 miles, and you are anticipating putting 785 units, and I know I keep hearing it's going to be an 8-year project, that doesn't change the number. We're still at 785. Whether as quick as they are going up, the subdivisions are going up by Walmart or wherever, it's still 785. It's definitely, to me, not a feasible idea with the school system. Also, I have, several thoughts about the plat going around the high school, which just recently was an incredible agriculture department. The students love it. We have families that have moved in from the city just to participate and be a part of agriculture, residential agriculture, so they could have their land, their cattle, the homegrown garden. So it's just several things to think about. And I know that several other people want to speak and they are very specific about it. But in the end, I think we need to realize that Frank Bruce C-Tick has definitely got 2 major projects going on. Matter of fact, all the habitat from the reservoir that lost were over here now. And it's been really wonderful to watch them migrate to Frank Bruce Road 1512. So it would be disheartening to see that disappear as well. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Munchin. Is there anyone else speaking opposition? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium.
She's writing my name for me. This is my wife. My name is Patrick Munchin. I live at 1512 Frank Bruce Road as well. It seems to me that if we are going to change the land use plan, the zoning of a certain tract, that it should be in the best benefit of Dawson County citizens. It should be sustainable, and it should not infringe on the rights of the other residents that have been in Dawson County. This tract of 500 acres is mostly zoned residential agriculture, which means it should have only 100 homes on it if it's a 5-acre tracts. not 785. So we're adding 600 homes to what it's supposed to be used for. That's what the Dawson County Comprehensive Plan states. Now, there is a little bit of RSR around it, but that's still 1.5 acres per home. I did a little study on the amount of projects that are going on in Dawson County. And right now, there are 13 subdivisions in Dawson County, and these are not built out yet, but the total capacity is 1,181 homes. Now, these homes have not been built yet. Some of them are in progress, those subdivisions, but a lot of them are in the starting phase. One of those projects is right on the corner of Perimeter Road and Highway 53, across from the high school, 191 homes. Now, I know you've been driving around Dawson County during school in the morning time and dismissal. 53 gets packed. You can't make it up Gober Hill to the top of Gober Hill before you hit traffic. In the morning time, over on Highway 9 down at Black's Mill, there's 2 turn circles. The traffic backs all the way up to Rock Creek. That's right now, without any other traffic on the road. We're talking about adding 1,181 homes here, and then another 785 homes with Crestwind. What is traffic going to look like? Now, if you think about DOT, they don't move the fastest, and you guys know that. It takes about 7 years to put in a traffic light. There's been a couple projects in Dawson County up at Highway 53 and Lumpkin Campground. How long did that intersection take? About 7 years. The straightening of the road on 53 right down to Etowah River took at least 5 years. I think it was longer than that. That's how I used to exit when I left Frank Bruce Road. I would go down to Etowah River and turn. It's a 2-minute wait right now, sometimes, because there are cars flying in the morning time. That's just with my one car. Add 15 cars that, if Crestwind has 785 people, I can almost guarantee you they're not going to go out 53. They're going to go down Frank Bruce Road, turn right on Etowah, and we're going to be in a big pack right there. They're never going to put a stoplight there, or at least take 7 years. So we're talking, and then people are going to try and gas it out, and we're going to have accidents there. So traffic is not sustainable right now in Dawson County alone without another subdivision coming in. I want to talk about our EMS system. The 2024 report just came out. It was very well written, but they point out some serious problems we're having with EMS right now, emergency management services. Calls were up 20% last year, without considering any of the growth that's coming, 20% up. The fleet right now represented these 40 vehicles. All the red ones are vehicles that are past due for replacement. Now, Mr. Long said they've been asked to replace an ambulance. They've been asked, but he didn't agree, and that's not in writing. So a fire truck can cost $1 million. We have 13 vehicles that are past due. We have 7 vehicles that are approaching replacement. Calls are up 20%. They exceeded the budget last year, EMS did. They ran out of product availability, and they have personnel challenges right now. They're actually offering an $8,000 signing bonus for some professions in EMS. So we don't have what we need right now to serve at Dawson County. And it's going to take a while to grow. It's going to take a while to purchase that equipment, although I think I saw where they do have on the books to purchase some new equipment this year. But we're 13 vehicles behind. Should we add? Is it prudent to add 785 more homes at this time to our workload with the 1,000 homes that are still coming? I don't think so. I also like to talk about quality of life. Now, Mr. Long mentioned that this, you can see this is an upscale Life of the Rich and Famous project, okay? It caters, according to his own words, 3% of the population. of people that do not live in Dawson County. We have a lot of residents here, and most of them are opposed to the rampant growth that's going on right now. I live on Frank Bruce Road. We have 48 homes on Frank Bruce Road. And we collectively have purchased 512 acres. And we've invested $28 million into our dream homes. We all moved from the city. We all moved from subdivisions. The property on the north side of Frank Bruce Road was a big forest, zoned residential agriculture, like it is right now. The owner of that property sold it out in tracts, and my neighbors are here tonight. We've all met together. We are opposed to this project because we moved up here and we made an investment into Dawson County according to the land use plan. You should not go and subjugate or elevate the rights of people that are not living in Dawson County because they have money for our rights. This was zoned residential agriculture. I appeal you, please do not change it. My neighbor, Miss Ellen, has been there since 1930. She's older now, but she's enjoyed our beautiful road for a long time. My friends over here have been there since 1990. We've been there for 26 years. I love Dawson County. I love my road. We moved there to get away from the subdivision. It's not right to come in and change it all of a sudden. So I appeal to you on that. Here's my property right here. Here's Crestwind. We will be surrounded, right now we look out and it's beautiful woods. We will be surrounded by homes, lights. They're gonna do street lights, I think, was it every 30 feet? I don't know. They're gonna put a lot of street lights in, so it's gonna be bright. We won't enjoy the night sky anymore. Wildlife is gonna flee from the area. Here is my barn right here. Here's a picture of my wife standing right here. This is 50 feet from my barn. You see the beautiful trees right now. It'll all be covered with homes. Here's our home on top of the hill. Here's my wife and my dog standing right here. It will all be covered with homes. We will be surrounded by homes and light for the rest of our life. We didn't move here for that. I appeal to you guys to please protect the rights of Dawson County citizens. Please realize that this is not sustainable right now because of the traffic that we're already experiencing. And it's gonna take 7 years for things to change on the traffic end. And we got a lot of projects in the hopper right now. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anyone else speak in opposition? Thank you, Mr. Mutchin. Anyone else speak in opposition? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on a piece of paper there on the podium.
I'm printing it because I understand cursive is not popular anymore. I did hear that our government is hiring cursive interpreters now.
Please state your name.
My name is Diane Dotson. I have been in Dawson County for 30+ years. I am in opposition of this community. Patrick spoke eloquently about hitting everything I would like to say as well. Traffic. 785 houses is 1,200 to 1,500 cars. And like you said, 1,100 already proposed, so that's another 2,200 cars. The T-Splost, which was a great idea, doesn't take into consideration this. We are behind the 8 ball. We're continually behind the 8 ball. I believe that we need to do the infrastructure before we commit to all these projects. He's got a great point about the EMS, et cetera. We are trying to hire people. A 55+ community sounds like great, happy people, but people in 55+ communities, like one that my cousin lives in Florida, they have the defibrillator run. They have people volunteer for defibrillators. We just don't have the medical. And on top of that, we don't have the training for our police and fire to deal with some of the issues of an aging population. Dementia, Alzheimer's, all those issues where you're going to be taking police and fire and EMS, not just from medical, but from those issues dealing with people that are confused and all of that. But for starting off the first few years, it's like Patrick says, to get a light, to get road improvements, whatever. It's going to be traffic, traffic, traffic. And I've got a daughter and son-in-law that live in town. They're already trying to come up with ways to get around 53. Go to Highway 9, that's a problem, that's too. So I just don't think that we are in a position to go and put the cart before the horse. We need infrastructure. We need to have that done. And traffic is just part of it. You've got water and sewer. Okay, they want water and sewer. I understand that. What's the west side of the county? Everybody is on septic and wells. There's not a school out there to accommodate the children. There are people that are being bused, kids being bused for over an hour to get to this school. I understand there might be some proposal for something going out that way, but not far enough. So the infrastructure, not just traffic, but water, sewer, everything. And like Patrick said, take consideration. I guess my another main point is we put things in place and then people appeal to you to change the zoning. So what is a person who comes here and has been here for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, and we bought, depending upon the zoning, depending upon what was in place, and then here we rezone it here, we rezone it there. How can you depend on? So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Dodson. If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium.
Hello, my name is Anton Demidov. I will be very brief. My 11 acres property adjacent to the proposed development, and my neighbors have similar sized properties, and we are heavily invested into our properties, and it's kind of typical for Dawson County. So people live on big properties, and we make this county beautiful, make it attractive. And this Coulter Group's development came here to cash out our investments. It's not right. And they built those coffin-sized lots, small houses where neighbors look to each other, windows. That's not typical for us. That's not our lifestyle here in Dawson County, right? I took a ruler, checked the actual density of their houses in their clustered homes. It's like 4 per acre. It's not what they say. Maybe they average, but actually it's like very clustered. This subdivision will look like a cancer formation on body of Dawson County. It's not just right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speak in opposition? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper on the podium. For the record, please state your name.
My name is Stephanie Petrosky, and I live in the Rain Hill subdivision right nearby, and I work at the high school as well. So 785 homes, I just don't see how congestion would not occur. It will occur in Dawsonville. Currently, we have only 2-lane roads in Dawsonville. Cars will be crawling along like little ants all over our 2-lane roads. I suspect there will be limited parking availability at our Food Line, our Main Street Park, our Dawson County Library with all these active 55-plus-year-olds. The people who want to move here want that small town feel, which seems counterintuitive to homes as super pricey as Coulter wants to build, that 550 to 780, 780,000. At prices seems kind of problematic because I read in one article that there was a suggested idea that Dawson residents could retire to that community. Not many of the hardworking Dawson County residents I know could afford to live in Crestwind. I just see issues like JNS. Guess I won't be swinging by to pick up a biscuit in the morning before work anymore because Crestwind will get a wind of that jewel. The Christmas parade, the jingle market, the tree lighting, all these things that make Dawsonville are going to be fading away by the time we finish all these developments that we've approved already that are in the pipeline. I hear that there's an idea for a moratorium, and it seems that that is what we do once we've shoved a bunch of projects through, is people get upset. Then we're like, all right, let's pause it. People get accustomed to the growth, then it's like, all right, let's kickstart it again. And all these new projects come through the pipeline, and it's changing the face of Dawsonville. I was trying to amend the prepared comments I had because I hadn't heard about no kids being part of this like development. It seems like a weird omission to have read so many articles and none of them talking about no children allowed. So I'll take out some of the comments I had prepared in response to that. But there is that 80-20 split that I did read about. If they don't sell, 20% of the units can be sold to those who are not at the ripe old age of 55. That's 157 homes out of the projected like 785. I mean, I don't know how all the rules work in terms of if you're 55 and you buy one, and then you realize the residential town development is nestled inside of a vast complex of new developments. Are you required to sell to someone that's 55 and older? I mean, I don't know. So I have questions about some of those details. And then speaking of our young people at our schools, it's encroachment. If you look at the Coulter provided graphic of the development that seems superimposed on a Google Earth image, like aerial view of the affected area, it's like a vise fitted around the school. I showed that image to some of my students, and even they, and I didn't say anything about it because I just wanted them to kind of see a plan that they had not heard anything about. Some of the teachers at my school had not heard anything about this. It just kind of crept up, and that's why I felt it was important to come here. I guess like we're just gonna have to build vertically at our school because we can't go out anymore. The development, okay, let me skip this part. So yeah, neighborhoods would be nicer than like strip mall centers around a school, but I just see the future of our 2-lane highways 53 and 9 being lined with strip shopping centers. And then the 4 million from Coulter and impact fees, I don't know how far that will go, and I don't know how all that works on an annual basis because you mentioned the property tax income. But I mean, if we are spending 1.5 million alone to repave Shoal Creek Road, and I read in the Dawson County News that the Lumpkin Campground and Highway 53 intersections estimated to have a 5.4 million price tag. I mean, I just don't see how far 4 million will go in ensuring the infrastructure that's not even here that would accommodate the 785 homes that, you know, Coulter wants to squeeze in between these two roads. It's like a mini city. The number of teenage drivers too, I would see that increasing. I mean, that's one of the risks I feel concerned about as a high school teacher, is having our school, you know, surrounded by this community. And then if they're driving at weird hours of the day, not peak traffic times, that's when our students are out. They're out in the morning. That's like pretty early before traffic starts, but they're leaving at 2:30 in the afternoon. And like people have pointed out, 53 is a mess going towards 400 if you're leaving when the school's let out. Also, we are already struggling at DCHS to control tardies and bring up attendance. Many high school kids will either arrive even later than they do now or not even come to school on a day when they know their late start will result in being tardy enough to be counted as absent in class. So I see that as an issue. I know we can't like stop the development, but I feel we can slow it down and better plan for it. We may be projected for population growth, but we are accommodating that projection in a way that feels pretty slapdash for the temporary salve of like some money. People can't move here if there's no home to move into. It's not like we have a moral responsibility to clear away all the beautiful green space so that more people can squeeze in. Like, build it and they will come, but if you don't build it, they can't come. We are not a dying town in need of more residents. We don't need more people to ensure Dawsonville's existence. Recently, not too long ago, we were asked for ideas on how to revitalize downtown. No one was like, hey, 785 homes real close to Dawsonville sounds like a good idea for revitalizing and maintaining a small town feel. So I just feel we need to slow down. Let me see. I want to skip the comments about children emerging from the woods like they walked out of Red Dawn, since apparently there won't be any kids. But if you take an aerial view of Dawson County High School right now and zoom out, it is just green space. It's beautiful green space. And if you look at the image they have, the school is literally like right in the middle or right in the center. It's like this tiny little portion. And then all you see is all this development right around it. And I just don't like that optic. I don't think that's the visual students want to see. I mean, I'm in a building already that doesn't have windows in my room. I don't want to walk out and just see more buildings. So pointing out these things is kind of frustrating, but I didn't speak out about the development at Perimeter and 53. I didn't know enough to even be aware of the one currently in progress on Hauser Mill. So if I didn't express all these thoughts and truths, I would feel like I wasn't bringing to light things that are important to the people who live here, to the students who go to the school where I am, to the people who care about Dawsonville and, you know, maintaining what we have for the people already here. And that's kind of all I wanted to say. I had to amend some of my comments based on the no kid thing, which I'm going to still look into, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Petrosky. Anyone else to speak in opposition? If you would, please come forward and write your name and address on the.
My name's David Porter. And been a property owner up here. My family's owned property since the early 80s, and now I own a tract that is to the right of your screen there. You see a rectangle. That is our 60-acre parcel. So we're pretty much, it's the way I see this, we're pretty much the most impacted individual property by this development because we're surrounded on three sides. Additionally, we were surrounded on two sides with the Turner's property, and they purchased additional land for this development, which encompasses three sides of our property. So I don't know how many homes are there. I did meet with Mr. Long at one of their properties at Crestwind at Twin Lakes. And that was because they wanted me to sell my property. And I didn't have an interest because, you know, it's our family property. It's our little piece of nature, piece of paradise, like everyone loves out here. So beyond that, I had no input into, you know, the lack of any setbacks or how many homes actually border our piece. But to speak more broadly, I'm not sure how they come up with the density numbers of 1.75 units per acre or whatever. I mean, we've got 300 acres roughly that they're developing and 785 homes. It's like roughly 0.38 acres per home or almost 3 homes per acre. And additionally, the square footage of the actual lot sizes, you get 3 homes for just a little bit over an acre. So I think that type of density is not the character of Dawson County. And I'm going to ask this commission, would you want this type of development bordering your piece of paradise? You know, you got a couple acres around you, you want 6 homes in your backyard? I don't think it's good for the county. Impact fee wise, I think the impact fees are woefully inadequate. So maybe the commission should consider changing impact fees commensurate with this high density development. Other cities have done this, you know, well in the past. And I think we need to get caught up on the rules so that developers aren't taking advantage of, hey, it's just cheap to go build in Dawsonville. That's why we're here, because it's economic to build here and we can make more profits. But yeah, 1,355 plus people, how's that going to impact our EMS systems? I mean, they should be building us a fire station, you know, something to support their residents. And other communities do this. They actually, the developer will fund, you know, fire and EMS to take care of a hole in the system. And I think we definitely have a hole in the system here. Again, water and sewer. I mean, huge impacts and little impact fees. What the roads and the congestion, we've got $64,000 in impact fees for roads over 7 years. I mean, to me, that's a drop in the bucket. And I was in construction, so I've got a background in that. Yeah, the EMS impact fees were 145,000 over 7 years. Interestingly, parks and recreation and libraries get more impact fees than the things that, I mean, not that parks and recreation don't matter to us, but transportation matters to all of us. We've all got to go somewhere. So I just think there's an imbalance, and we need to look at those fees and how that is going to impact the county, because ultimately, someone's going to pay for it. Either the developer's going to pay for it, or we're, as residents of this county or property owners in this county, we're all going to pay for the profits they're going to receive. Yeah, I mean, again, my personal impact, I think, like I said, I'm in a position where I'm probably more impacted by it than any single landowner. Not that I have a structure on that piece, but I would have appreciated some more communication with Coulter, and I would appreciate them reconsidering the density bordering my property if we're going to move forward with this. But all in all, I don't think it's a good fit for the county. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Would please come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper. You already have. Just state your name, please. Mr. Ledbetter, correct?
Yes, Bill Ledbetter. I thought I'd have a lot to say, but I don't. Everybody's already said it. My problem is the parking and where their driveway is going to go. It's going to be directly across the street from Etowah Water. That's 150 feet from my driveway. What's it going to do to me? So I got a medical facility going in here. I got another medical facility going in over on 53, and just across perimeter. Then 190 homes. They're going to start construction right beside my house. Now, they're going to put this beautiful entranceway that's going to come on 53. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous with this entry and exit and widen the highways. And when they come in, they're going to start right beside me. Now, they're going to put up a wall with whatever else they're going to do, but I got nothing. I got a 50-foot boundary. My driveway is right on the line coming up the hill. They come out and mark the 50-foot. They're not going to put any fencing in, no barriers. What security do I have? Do I have to stay at home for the next 7 to 10 years to make sure that I don't get robbed? Now, you can't tell me that there's not going to be people, that construction people, whatever people coming in, delivery people, that's not going to steal something. I don't want them stealing from me. I can't get out of my driveway now in the morning. And if you hit 53 at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's like 15 buses that come through that intersection going to the high school. That traffic coming around perimeter is backed up. In the mornings, it's backed up. I would say I could sit in my driveway for 45 minutes at 7 o'clock in the morning and not get out of my driveway, because cars will pull up and block me from getting out. And I have to sit there and wait. And what's that going to do with 190 homes coming in just across perimeter and another 785 coming in where the entrance is going to be 150 feet from me? I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Now, my wife and I have been on that hill for 32 years. We've got the school over here, which we love. I am happy that the school bought that property and a subdivision did not come in. I heaped rather look at cows sitting in a barn than I had people running up and down the streets. I don't mind that at all. but I want to enjoy. My wife bought our home up there to live there and down that hill. I don't know if that's gonna be possible anymore because we're not gonna get any peace. There's gonna be construction going in and out. There's gonna be hammering all day long. It's never going to be quiet. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. Is there anyone else speaking opposition? If you would, please come forward, write your name and address on a piece of paper there on the podium.
Yes, sir. Okay, my name is Richard Gwynn. I live at 1165 Frank Bruce Road. My wife Maria and I moved up to Dawson County in 2021 from Gwinnett County. We raised our 5 children in Gwinnett County. Brookwood High School, I had 2 children go to the University of Georgia, 1 that went to Georgia Tech, 1 that graduated from the United States Air Force Academy, and 1 that graduated from the United States Naval Academy. And my wife and I, after raising these 5 kids, wanted to live our retirement years in a peaceful, very bucolic type of environment, and Dawson County is extraordinary for that. I recognize that all things grow and that there are things that evolve, and certainly I anticipate Dawson County and the city of Dawsonville in the county evolving. But as a resident on Frank Bruce Road, the nature of this quantity of homes feeding onto 53 and feeding onto Frank Bruce Road is just very inconsistent with the nature of the properties that go up and down Frank Bruce, and Seatick Road is really what you need to be talking about also, because Seatick is what ends at Etowah River. So as has been spoken at length about the impact of traffic when you go down Seatick Road to get to Etowah River, primarily people turn right to head toward 53, which is what I do. I still work. My office is in downtown Cumming. I'm an engineer. And then I make a left on 53, which is very difficult to do at Etowah River Road. I've spoken at length with Larry and the other guys from Coulter. And like has been said, they've been very courteous, very professional, very accommodating. I was a part of the meeting that Larry mentioned that we talked about shifting the entrance on Frank Bruce Road. They've been very accommodating on that, and I appreciate it because the entrance they were talking about is literally right opposite my driveway on Frank Bruce Road. So when I bought my property, it was another large collection. It was a big chunk of land it was owned by the Turners. I bought the smallest chunk, which was 12.65 acres, and I've got the baby lot. But the house and the barn that my wife and I have built will be the only structures on that. That's all that's going up on that property. You cannot see my buildings from Frank Bruce Road. I value my privacy. My neighbors value my privacy, or value their privacy. When we moved up here, we decided that we would integrate into the community and into our neighborhood. That's not really a neighborhood, but our area. We would become one of them, not try to make them. I mean, living in suburban Gwinnett County in Snellville next to Brookwood High School is very, very, very different than living in Dawson County. We did our time there, and I'll leave it at that. Fine school system. Our kids obviously did very well based on where they went to higher education. But it's kind of like what the red states are experiencing with Northerners moving south. It's like they're bringing their culture with them, you know? And that is probably going to happen with the 55 and older that live in this community, because the people my neighbors that live up and down Frank Bruce Seatick Road, we have tractors, we maintain our property, we have an independent lifestyle, but I would help any of my neighbors at the drop of a hat on my street. What I'm concerned about is the people that would move into this very beautiful neighborhood with fine amenities. It's like when they hear gunfire, when I hear gunfire during the day, it's music to my ears. Those are people that are practicing their Second Amendment right to protect themselves. And I'm thinking that the people that live in this neighborhood are going to be like, oh my God, who's getting shot? Who's dying? And it's like, it's the opposite with me. And my neighbors are very like me. So my concern is that the way of life that we pursued and that we are already a part of and that we want to continue to be a part of will be jeopardized by the impact of a massive quantity of houses in a small area. Now, when we bought this property on Frank Bruce, I was aware that there were 400 plus acres that were not developed, and I knew the Turners owned it. And I know the gentlemen that have been hunting on it, that I'm sure they're not happy that they're not going to be able to hunt that property anymore. But so I figured that, well, something is going to happen with that property, you know, but it is RA. And like the teacher spoke to, the concept that we're going to change the zoning to make it this totally different nature of improving the land. I mean, I improved my land. It was trees and squirrels, and now it has a nice house and a very nice barn on it. But the idea that we're going to rezone it for RT and make it this dense housing is just extremely inconsistent with everything else that's around that. And I'm really thinking that they're going to be like, why are all these people that have farm equipment in their front yard and have piles of wood in their front yard and cars on blocks in their front yard? You know what? That's what it's like up and down my road. That is what it's like on this beautiful, quiet street. And we practice our Second Amendment rights up and down my street. And they're going to be like, ugh, what is happening? I mean, someone's getting shot. No one is getting shot, you know? So it's like a square peg in a round hole, really. It's just like it's not consistent with the nature of that area. And they did a traffic study on the percent that would go out onto Frank Bruce. And I think it was 20% was what their traffic study, their engineers did. Only 20% is going to go out on Frank Bruce. Well, all of us up and down Frank Bruce seed tick are thinking that it's going to be a heck of a lot more than that. The people are going to figure out pretty quick that getting out onto 53 is very difficult. Larry has already talked about how apparently they can't put a traffic light at the entrance on 53 because that traffic light would be too close to the existing traffic light at perimeter in 53. So they're just going to have to fend for themselves and get onto 53. And the residents are going to be like, the heck with that. The secret path is to go out Frank Bruce and then go down Frank Bruce to Etowah River and make a right. And the people will figure it out very quickly. And there's going to be an impact on a whole bunch of neighboring roads, Highway 9, North Sea Tick, 136. They're going to figure out very quickly the alternate ways of getting around the congestion on 53. So in summation, everything that's been said by my fellow residents that live in Dawson County and live near me, I echo. But I just wanted to reiterate the tremendously strong impact, negative impact, I think, of this quantity of homes. It's inconsistent with the nature of the development and nature of the residences and the property ownership that is around our area. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Now, as is customary to give equal time to both those in favor as well as those in opposition, we've pretty well accommodated that. But at the same time, we also like to accommodate those that are here that absolutely need to be heard. So if you have any other new and pertinent information and you feel like you need to speak in opposition, then at this time, if you need to come forward, write your name and address on the piece of paper there on the podium. For the record, please state your name.
My name's Charles Pritchett, and I just want, for the record, to state that where the entrance is on Frank Bruce Road, I know it's been moved about 160 feet north on Frank Bruce Road. I own 65 acres directly across the street from that. I've been there for a number of years, built my house, my retirement home. I hope to retire. I'll be 64 this year, so I hope to semi-retire. And I've been in the county for 34 years, built a roofing business and in construction and for quite a long time. And so it's taken me my lifetime to buy this property. However, I did divide it with two of my other children so they could have a home on a big tract of land. I own, as it is in the county, I own about 32 acres still, but I got a lot of the road frontage. Most all of the road frontage is mine. I put a private road in and named it Crossfire Lane. Actually, the county requested, made me put a stop sign on it, and it's not a public road. So I am just kind of between my neighbors. I think it's Mr. Richard, my neighbor, that had concerns about his driveway being across from it, but they've now moved it a little bit further down. But it's not right across from Crossfire Lane, my drive, but it is across from my property. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to anybody, having jobs and living in Dawson County and working hard like I have, worked hard all of my life and obtained something. And if they want to live in a community like this, I think it's a great community. It looks wonderful. And if I was wanting something like that, then I would certainly consider it. I think everything pretty much has been said already this evening. I don't need to reiterate everything that's already been said. I just wanted to go on record that I don't particularly care for this amount of traffic right there at my private land, where we're just going to have just a few homes. I could redevelop the 65 acres with my son and my daughter, and we could put one house per 5 acres as it is now. And I believe this is what it's zoned at now across the road from me. If that's what they want to do, then, hey, more power to them. That'd be better. It's still, even if you get one home for every 5 acres on this 510 acres, you're still going to have a problem with the traffic. That's the big thing. There is going to be the noise situation, but hey, if it's zoned for that, I'm in favor for just keeping it zoned as it is. And like I said, Mr. Larry that spoke, I think they've got a great plan. It's a great activity place for people that live in there, but it just doesn't seem to fit right where they're proposing to put it now. Maybe in a different city with 4 or 6 lane roads on either side or both sides or around the sections. I myself have built other homes in the county. I haven't built but like 10 or 12 or something like that and sold them, but I did it on the acreage that I was supposed to do that on with the privacy situation that the county allowed me to do, whether it was a 5 acre or if it was in the city, with 1 acre with water, or they've changed it to 5 acres now. But anyway, I just wanted to be on record that I'm opposed to 785 homes. I know it's great for the people that's going to live in there, but we just do not have nothing. All we have is 2 lane roads, and it's just going to be constant. And I've been in the roofing business. I know how loud it is. I'm about half deaf now because of all the compressors and construction work I've been around, and it's going to be pretty loud. So we're going to hear that. I hear the high school games on Friday, the football games. Doesn't bother me at all. I hear the band practicing and whatnot. It's kind of at a distance, and it's okay. It's great for our kids. But to hear this construction to go on for 8 or 10 years is it's going to make me think like I need to contact them and see if they want to buy my property then. and me just move somewhere else. And I don't really want to do that. I want to stay close to my children, my 8 grandchildren, and I'd rather us just, be close together in the proximity of Dawson County and the city of Dawsonville as it is. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchett. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, Mr. Long, do you have a rebuttal that you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate all the comments. I understand. Just want to make some clarifications. It is 510 acres. It's not 300, just for the record. We are agreeing to buy the ambulance. I think Patrick said that he didn't know if we were. We actually are agreeing to that as part of our conditions. What else I have on here? Impact fees. We don't control how the county spends that money. We just pay the fee and they pretty much establish that. And by the way, the impact fees just got increased a month ago. This is not like something way back. This is technically, they doubled the fees in the last month. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
This time we'll close it to board for discussion. Gentlemen? Discussion?
I had a question.
What you got? Or Mr. Long, Mr. Long, would you come back up to the podium, please?
Mr. Long, I mentioned some stuff about some stipulations he agreed to, and we hear a lot about buffer. We hear a lot about screening and things like that. I understand you do have an increase to a 50-foot buffer. Would you be open to possibly exploring a little bit larger buffer and some screening?
I think we've redesigned for the fit. I'd rather screen, I think, if we can, technically, the county has a requirement of what that buffer, you can do in that buffer as far as landscaping, trees and what have you. If the intent is to screen, I don't know if a more buffer would get you there, maybe a berm, like we typically do berms with landscaping on top. To screen, we do that like Lanier, our Lanier project. We did that. We actually screened from behind the roads and all that. So we would be.
You would be open to some type of screening to
Yes,
try to
yes,
assist with some of the
yes.
visual.
Yes,
We're hearing.
absolutely. As long as the county would approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Long.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
I motion to approve with some of the stipulations that I mentioned earlier. If we could get those added. Be the no pad grading, traffic study as deemed necessary by county. Later in the future of this, if they determine it's necessary to get another traffic study, the driveway widths, which we found out are 20 feet. And that's it.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moving us,
Y'all are talking about 26.
26 zoning conditions in addition to the ones that he just has spoken. Is the motion on the floor with a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried 2-1 as a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. This will be heard, Priscilla, what date? This will be heard April 17th at the Board of Commissioners. They make the final decision. This is a recommendation passed forward from this board towards them. Motion is carried 2-1. Presentation of ZA 25-01, Darrell Owens request to reduce. Okay, we're going to give 2 minutes if anyone needs to clear out. We have one more recommendation or one more variance to look at. So if you need to clear out, we'll give you 2 minutes. Presentation of ZA 25-01. Darrell On's request to reduce his left side property line building setback from 5 foot to 1 foot for construction of a staircase and landing. Is there someone here to speak for Mr. On? Seeing no one here to speak for Mr. On. Priscilla, would you like to present this, or would you prefer for us to table it until next month?
Well, given that I believe we have some questions from the neighbor that I cannot answer, I think it would be best to table.
Very good. This time I'll entertain a motion
Motion to table
until,
till the next meeting.
motion to second to table this hearing for a variance request until next month. All in favor? Motion is carried, 3-0. Apologize for your lack of hearing tonight, but nonetheless, where we stand. Excuse me?
There's no more hearings on this, right?
Updates by planning and development. Mr. Richard Osborne.
Glad to be here. I'm Richard Osborne, and I appreciate your time and having me here in the county as a new staff, ramping up. But I'm anxious and excited to really learn about the community, get input from citizens, appointed board members, members of the Board of Commission. And Thursday, we know there's a potential moratorium public hearing to discuss that. And if there's the need for code changes, then I'll be reaching out to you as appointed board members and members, citizens, business owners, and then members of the Board of Commission to get potential draft ideas on code changes. But generally, I'm glad to be here and appreciate your time.
Under public hearings, we have none. That leaves us with item M, adjournment. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Motion carried. This time we are adjourned and this meeting is closed.